The ballroom lights blur into streaks of gold as Elaine Carter steadies herself on the edge of the marble pillar, breath tight, gown drenched in the burning scent of red wine. The fabric clings to her skin, cold, heavy, humiliating. And across from her, a laughing boy. A boy who doesn't understand the cost of anything he touches. Blake Harrington twirls his empty wine glass between two fingers, smirking like he's just won something, like he's proud. The crowd watches. Some gasp, but most they look away, because they know his last name. This isn't the beginning of Elaine's night. This is the moment everything snaps. "Hey, beautiful souls," Elaine whispers internally, a habit she formed after years of public speaking. She imagines saying it aloud to her loyal online audience if she had one tonight. Where are you watching from today? Drop your city in the comments. A coping mechanism, a grounding ritual. But right now, there is no audience, only sharks in designer tuxedos. The gala is grand, glittering, overflowing with chandeliers and money. Old money, inherited money, the kind that never had to justify itself. Soft jazz floats through the massive hall, but the air is stiff, heavy with status and pretense. Elaine stands alone. Except she is, not really. In her mind, she hears the voice of her late mother, her catalyst, soft, warm, encouraging. "Don't let them see you break, baby. You come from stronger women." So she doesn't break. But she bleeds quietly. Blake leans in closer, breath thick with expensive liquor. "Guess you shouldn't stand in my way next time," he slurs. Elaine lifts her chin. "I didn't move, you barreled into me." "Same difference," he shrugs, rolling his shoulders like she's a chore. Elaine assesses him the way she does every potential partner, every negotiator, every threat. Spoiled, self-indulgent, unaware, dangerous. Not because of what he does, but because he never faces consequences. A familiar pattern in powerful families. A pattern that ruins lives. And tonight he nearly ruined hers. Nearly. A few feet away stand Richard and Margaret Harrington, Blake's parents, stiff, polished, radiating generational entitlement. Richard places a hand over Margaret's as they watch the incident. He chuckles, she giggles. Their son humiliating a stranger in public. To them, it's adorable. It means he's spirited. It means he's playful. But most importantly, it means he knows he can. They still don't know who she is. Not yet. But the audience watching this video, my beautiful souls, are you feeling that spark of outrage already? Because you should. Elaine's stomach flutters, not from fear, but from the injustice simmering under her ribs. Her reputation has always been clean. Her company is one of the most respected in the industry. Her work has lifted people from poverty, funded clean tech projects, and offered scholarships to kids who come from nothing, kids like she once was. But here she is, covered in wine, being laughed at. Her eyes scan the room for an exit, not because she's running, but because she's thinking. Calculating. Positioning. A leader never moves without a plan. She steps back, fingers grazing the soaked gown. The deep red wine stain crawls across the shimmering silver fabric like a wound. Blake, he just yawns. "That dress probably wasn't that expensive anyway," he mutters. Elaine blinks slowly, a micro-expression, the kind that warns storms are coming. "Oh, it matters," she whispers. Just loud enough for him to hear. Just soft enough for him to dismiss. Blake rolls his eyes. "Whatever, it's not like you're anyone important, eh?" But across the room, something else is unfolding. Margaret Harrington holds a tablet, refreshing her emails over and over. Because tonight is supposed to be the night they finally meet the CEO of Orion Dynamics, the woman whose signature is the difference between survival and collapse. A $500 million contract, their company's lifeline. Yet here they stand, clueless, laughing, unaware that the person they've just mocked is the one they've been chasing for 6 months. Elaine takes a slow breath, because she needs to decide. Does she confront them now? Or does she let them reveal who they are just a little more? Her mind flicks back to her younger sister Maya, 16 years old, bright-eyed, the innocent stake who depends on Elaine for everything. Their last conversation plays in her head. You always know who people really are, sis. You see right through them. Elaine promised her she would make the world safer for girls like her. Tonight she keeps that promise. She steps toward the stage, heels silent on the velvet carpet. The host catches her eye, nods respectfully. He knows who she is. He's one of the few. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announces, raising the microphone. The room shifts. Whispers ripple through the hall, tuxedos straighten, diamonds stop clinking. "Please welcome our guest of honor, Elaine Carter, CEO of Orion Dynamics." And in that instant, Richard Harrington chokes on the last sip of champagne. Margaret drops her tablet. Blake freezes, wine glass slipping from his fingers and shattering at his feet. Elaine steps into the spotlight. Her gown stained, her dignity intact, her voice steady as steel. "Before we continue," she begins, scanning every face in the room, "I'd like to make an announcement." The Harringtons lean forward, pale, trembling. Elaine locks eyes with Blake. Her tone drops. The Harrington-Orion contract is canceled, effective immediately. Gasps tear across the room. And somewhere in the crowd a camera flashes, the story ignites, and the Harrington empire begins to crumble. But beautiful souls, this is only the beginning, because what none of them know, and what you are about to discover, is that this moment. It isn't the real story. It's just the spark. And the fire. The ballroom is still echoing with gasps when Elaine steps away from the microphone, the wine stain drying like battle paint on her gown. But if the Harringtons think the nightmare ends with public humiliation, they're wrong. This isn't the fall, this is only the first crack. Across the room, Richard Harrington's face drains of color. Margaret sways as if her heels suddenly betray her. Blake stares at Elaine like he's seeing a ghost, or the bill for his lifetime of mistakes finally arriving. But Elaine. She walks calmly toward the exit, every step unhurried, measured, intentional. Because she knows something the Harringtons don't. They were never her first choice to begin with. And the moment Blake spilled that wine, she stopped pretending otherwise. But beautiful souls, I need you with me right now. If this story is hitting you the way I think it will, go ahead and subscribe, because the next part, it's about to flip the entire power dynamic, and trust me, you're not ready. The valet rushes to open the door. The night air outside is crisp, cool, a sharp contrast to the heated whispers still erupting behind her. But Elaine isn't alone. A tall, calm figure waits near a sleek black sedan, a man with sharp eyes and an expression that rarely changes. Marcus Reed, her right hand, her loyal ally. Her mother's closest friend before she passed. He opens the rear door quietly. You handled that with restraint. Elaine snorts. If that was restraint, imagine the alternative. He doesn't smile, but his eyes soften with pride. You made your point. Oh, I'm not done making it, she replies, voice low. Marcus leans against the car, arms folded. Then you should know there's something else. Elaine pauses. Because Marcus doesn't deliver something else, unless it's big, game-changing, dangerous. What is it? He hands her a thin, sealed folder, black, unmarked, her mother's handwriting across the top in faded silver ink. For Elaine, if the Harringtons ever come knocking. Elaine's breath catches. Her mother died 2 years ago, but even from the grave she guides her daughter's steps. A catalyst, a guardian, a warning. She opens the folder. and the night splits open. Inside are documents, old, yellowing, some marked with confidential stamps, financial statements, internal memos, board testimony. And at the heart of it, evidence. Evidence of unsafe manufacturing practices, environmental violations, workers injured without compensation, entire communities affected by Harrington Global's shortcuts. Elaine's jaw tightens. Her mother knew. She had tried to expose them a decade earlier. But the Harringtons were protected then. Friends in high places, political puppets, money that could erase anything. Except a mother's memory. Except a daughter who is now powerful enough to finish what was started. Elaine closes the folder slowly. This could destroy them, she murmurs. It should, Marcus says, and it will. But Marcus, why didn't she show me this while she was alive? She was waiting, he replies, for you to be ready for the right moment, for when they would underestimate you enough to reveal who they really are. Elaine exhales, a long, steady breath. Because the picture is becoming clear. The wine, the humiliation, the laughter, the contract. This tragedy didn't begin tonight. It began years ago, with the same arrogance that killed her mother's career and nearly cost them their home. Her mother always said, the powerful fall the hardest when they trip over their own pride. Tonight the Harringtons tripped. Elaine is simply watching them hit the ground. Inside the ballroom, panic erupts. Richard Harrington is barking orders. Margaret is calling every contact she has. Blake is packing, muttering, rubbing his temples. How was I supposed to know who she was? He snaps. Margaret shoots him a glare so sharp it could slice glass. You poured wine on the most important woman in our company's history. Richard slams a fist onto the table. Find her, fix this, now. But their voices shake. Because deep down they know. Elaine Carter is not a woman you fix things with. She's a woman you never crossed to begin with. And they crossed her. Meanwhile, Elaine sits in the back seat of the sedan, staring at her mother's folder. Marcus adjusts the rearview mirror. We have leverage, he says simply. It's more than leverage, Elaine replies. It's truth. My mother died protecting people from families like this. So what do you want to do? Elaine looks out at the glittering city skyline. Expose them, ruin them, destroy the contract publicly, Marcus lists. No, Elaine says, her voice soft, precise, lethal. I want them to reveal themselves first. A slow smile tugs at Marcus's lips. You're setting a trap. No, she corrects him. They already walked into one. I'm just going to close the door. Across town, in their penthouse office, the Harringtons scramble. A dozen advisors crowd the room. Phones ring nonstop, emails pour in. Investors panic, reporters speculate, stock dips threaten. This can't be happening, Richard mutters, packing. It is, Margaret snaps, and it's your son's fault. Blake throws up his hands. How was I supposed to know she was important? She looked normal. She is the CEO, Margaret screams. That's not the point, Blake shouts back. Richard points a trembling finger at his son. You're going to apologize. Blake scoffs. I don't apologize. You will now, his father growls. But it's too late. Because Elaine, she isn't waiting for his apology. She's waiting for their secrets to surface. And they're about to, because desperation makes even the powerful sloppy. Marcus glances at Elaine through the mirror. They'll fight back. I know. They'll dig, they'll threaten, they'll try to intimidate. I know. Are you ready for that? Elaine runs her fingers over her mother's handwriting. Yes, she whispers, for the first time in my life I am. She closes the folder. And when she does, the power dynamic shifts completely. The Harringtons no longer hold anything over her, not money, not status, not the contract. Because Elaine doesn't need them. But they need her more than oxygen. The night after the gala, the Harrington mansion is lit up like a crime scene. Staff whisper, phones ring non-stop, and Blake Harrington, still nursing a hangover, tries to convince himself that everything will blow over. It won't. Not tonight. Not ever. Because Elaine has already begun the hunt. Elaine sits in her penthouse office at Orion's headquarters, lights dimmed, skyline glittering like 1,000 sharp truths behind her. Lena, her loyal ally, enters with 2 steaming mugs. "You really mean to go through with this?" Lena asks. "Oh, I'm going to do more than that," Elaine says. They walked into the ballroom thinking the world belonged to them. It's time they learn what the world really costs. Lena smirks. They're panicking. Richard sent 3 frantic emails begging for a private discussion. Margaret tried calling your assistant 6 times. Elaine leans back, expression cold, analytical. "And Blake?" "Still blaming bad lighting for why he didn't recognize you," Lena says with a laugh. Elaine's gaze sharpens. "No, he didn't recognize respect." She turns toward a folder on her desk. Inside it, every vulnerability the Harringtons have been hiding. Financial mismanagement, fraudulent valuation claims, hidden debts, workplace harassment settlements, environmental violations, a silent partner with a criminal record. Elaine didn't gather this last night. She's known for months. Because Elaine Carter never goes to war unprepared. Elaine taps the folder. This is phase 1. Lena nods. "Leak it." "No, not yet. We let them make the first move, then we strike." Because for a trap to work, the prey must believe the hunter is gone. The next morning, the Harringtons burst into a crisis meeting. Richard slams his fist down. "That woman is overreacting. I'll fix this. I'll charm her. CEOs love a good apology." Margaret nods eagerly. "If we frame Blake as the victim." Blake interrupts, outraged. "I am the victim. She bumped into me." The executives exchange awkward glances. Richard waves off their discomfort. Elaine is emotional, sensitive. She'll cool down by tomorrow. But the COO clears his throat nervously. "Sir, Orion posted a statement this morning." Richard lunges for the tablet. "Harrington, Orion partnership terminated pending internal review." Blake scoffs. "That's it, perfect. Now she's just posturing. She wants us to beg." Richard straightens, relief blooming across his face. "You're right. This is a negotiation tactic. She wants us to grovel a bit, send flowers, a donation in her sister's name. What was it again?" "Her sister is still alive," Margaret whispers. Richard shrugs, then in her mother's name, something sentimental. Blake snorts. "She won't stay mad. People like her can't afford to." "People like her." Lena's words echo in Elaine's mind as she replays that moment later. They're walking right into it. And they are. Every arrogant assumption tightens the snare. 3 days later, Richard receives a message. Elaine Carter agrees to a meeting, private, off the record. The Harringtons celebrate as if salvation has arrived. Blake dresses in his finest suit, trying to look respectable. Margaret prepares a glossy apology statement. Richard rehearses his charm tactics. "We'll pivot," Richard announces. "We'll guilt her a little, make her see we're the victims too. She won't risk the PR fallout." They don't know Elaine is already waiting for them. Not in her office, but at an unused Orion conference building where every inch is wired, documenting everything. The moment they enter, they act triumphant. Margaret jumps forward. "Elaine, so wonderful to see you again. Such a misunderstanding." Elaine's face remains unreadable. Richard pats her arm like she's a child. "We know you didn't mean to react so strongly. Women in your position, the pressure must be immense." Blake leans back in his chair, legs spread, smirking. "You're too sensitive. Honestly, it's kinda cute." Elaine watches, quiet, calm. letting them walk deeper into the trap. When you're ready to talk business, Richard says, we're prepared to sign on your terms, once you admit canceling the deal was impulsive. Elaine folds her hands. Is that what you think? She asks softly. Richard nods. It is. Elaine gestures toward the table. Then let's talk. Elaine opens the folder, pulling out the first document. Richard Harrington, CEO of Harrington Global. Your debt structure is falsified in multiple quarterly reports. Richard stiffens. What? Elaine slides the next page. And your waste disposal subsidiary has been dumping toxic chemicals into the Ravenswood wetlands. Margaret goes pale. That's unconfirmed. Oh, it's confirmed, Elaine says. Satellite imaging, worker testimonies, internal emails. She places another paper down. Your silent investor. He's tied to an international money laundering network. Richard grips the armrest. And Blake. Blake smirks. You can't prove anything about me. Elaine lifts a USB drive. I can prove everything. She taps the table. Harassment claims, drunk driving payouts, assault allegations buried under family money. Blake's mouth opens and closes like a fish. You're bluffing. Elaine meets his eyes. Am I? Richard stands up, trembling with rage. You set us up. Elaine doesn't blink. No, I protected my company. You set yourselves up by assuming I wouldn't fight back. Margaret whispers, this will ruin us. That isn't my doing, Elaine replies. It's yours. The room is silent. She's won. Her evidence is airtight. Her trap is flawless. Her vengeance is justified. But then, her phone dings. A single text message. From Maya. Elaine reads it. And her blood runs cold. Sis, someone followed me after school today. The world shifts. The walls contract. Her triumph evaporates. Her family is in danger. Someone is striking back. But who? She turns slowly to the Harringtons. They look just as confused. Which means the threat. It didn't come from them. It came from someone else entirely. And now, Elaine isn't dealing with a corporate war. She's dealing with a personal one. Beautiful souls, this story just cracked wide open. And what comes next will shake everything. The boardroom is too quiet, too still, too sterile for the chaos that's about to unfold. Elaine stands at the head of the long obsidian conference table, palms pressed flat, back straight, but her mind is a storm. She has spent weeks building the perfect play, orchestrating every detail, every reveal, every consequence the Harringtons deserve. But as the presentation screen flashes red, access revoked, instead of the damning evidence she prepared. Her stomach drops. This is wrong. This wasn't supposed to happen. Her trap, the meticulously crafted sequence that would expose the Harringtons' hidden embezzlement, their forged sustainability reports, their illegal subcontracting, has been wiped clean. Sabotaged. Destroyed. And the worst part, only someone on the inside could have done it. Her team stares at her with wide eyes. Her loyal ally, Daniel, steps forward. Elaine, the files were deleted from the secure server. Someone used an override code we didn't know existed. How? She whispers. Daniel's jaw clenches, because someone powerful wanted this buried. Elaine feels the room tilt. Weeks of strategy gone, the ammunition she needed gone, the contract she thought she had canceled. The Harringtons are now telling the public it was a misunderstanding. Media reports are turning, investors whispering, rumors swelling. All painting her as unstable, emotional, overreactive. the old stereotype that follows every black woman who dares hold power. And for the first time, Elaine feels the weight of all of it. A tremor of fear. Her mother's voice flickers in her mind. The world will try to break you before it respects you. She swallows hard, shakes her head. No, she murmurs, not today. But the fear lingers. Because the Harringtons strike fast. Richard Harrington sits behind his mahogany desk like a king who refuses to lose his crown. Blake is slumped beside him, pretending to read a financial report upside down. Margaret strokes Blake's arm. Sweetheart, don't worry, she won't get away with humiliating us. Richard smirks. We pulled the strings, she lost her evidence, now she has nothing. But what if she tries something else? Margaret whispers. She won't, Richard says confidently. She's alone. A dangerous assumption. The fatal flaw of villains. Back in the silent boardroom, Elaine forces herself to breathe. Daniel touches her shoulder gently. We're not out, we still have pieces. Pieces aren't enough, she whispers. Then we find more. She gives him a weary smile. Daniel has always believed in her even when she doubted herself. But this time, she feels cornered. She thinks of Maya, her sister whose entire future depends on Elaine's stability. She thinks of the scholarship students Orion sponsors, the communities relying on their clean tech expansion. She cannot fail. But right now she might. The crisis is real, not controlled, not rehearsed. And for the first time in the story, the audience must fear she'll lose everything. Then the door creaks open. A timid figure steps inside. A young woman, early 20s, shaking, clutching a tablet so tightly her knuckles are white. Ms. Carter, she whispers. Elaine lifts her head. Yes. The woman looks terrified. She closes the door behind her, glances at Daniel, then back to Elaine. I need to speak with you, alone. Daniel's eyes narrow protectively. Who are you? The woman inhales shakily. My name is Lily Hart. I am the Harringtons' assistant. Elaine goes still. Lily continues, voice trembling, and I know what they did. Daniel steps forward. If this is a trap. It's not, Lily blurts. They told me to delete the files. They said if I didn't help them cover everything up, they'd ruin my family. Tears spill. I'm so sorry. I didn't know who you really were until it was too late. Elaine softens. This girl isn't an enemy. She's another one of their victims. A casualty of their greed. Why come here now? Elaine asks gently. Lily hesitates, then reaches into her bag, pulling out a small encrypted drive. Because I made a backup, she whispers, of everything, all the evidence they think is gone. Elaine's breath catches. The room shifts. Hope light, a crack in the darkness. But why help me? Elaine asks softly. Lily swallows. Because you're the only executive I've ever seen stand up to them without fear. And because someone told me you'd know what to do with this. Elaine frowns. Someone told you. Lily nods. A woman, older. She came to the gala that night before the incident. She said if things ever got bad, I should find you. She gave me your name, your floor number, everything. Elaine's heart stops. Her mother has been dead for 5 years. Did she tell you her name? Elaine whispers. Lily nods slowly. She said her name was Elaine Carter. Elaine's knees nearly buckle. This is impossible. More tears flood her eyes, not from fear, but from the overwhelming sense that her mother's legacy has never left her side. She presses a hand to her chest. Daniel whispers, Elaine, this is divine alignment. Elaine closes her eyes. Maybe it is. Or maybe the universe uses people when they most need a miracle. She wipes her face, stands straighter, and for the first time in hours, she feels power return to her spine. Lily, she says with new strength, you're safe now, And I promise you we're going to end this, for you, for everyone they've hurt." Lily nods, trembling. Daniel takes the drive reverently. This changes everything. Elaine turns toward the window, watching the city lights flicker like distant stars. "Not yet," she murmurs. "We still need the final piece." "What piece?" Daniel asks. Elaine's lips curl into a slow, steady smile. "The one they think they destroyed." She turns sharply. "We're going after the Harringtons, but this time, we're not striking from the shadows, we're doing it in the open." Daniel grins, Lily gasps, and Elaine's eyes ignite with fire. The tide has turned. The darkest hour is ending. And dawn, it's sharp, blinding, and merciless. Especially for the Harringtons. Elaine stands in her penthouse office, high above the city skyline. The windows shimmer with the fading gold of sunset, reflecting back the storm she survived. She runs her fingers over the polished wood desk, the same desk that had once held contracts she thought were untouchable. Her phone buzzes, a message from Maya. "You did it, sis, proud of you." A small smile tugs at Elaine's lips. Her heart swells, not with triumph over money, power, or revenge, but with the knowledge that she protected the innocent. She did what mattered most. Meanwhile, Blake Harrington sits alone in the Harrington Estate Library, the chandeliers casting fractured light on his glassy eyes. The realization hits him slowly, painfully. He's lost more than money tonight. His arrogance, his privilege, the walls his parents built around him, they're all meaningless now. Richard and Margaret pace the room like caged animals, each step echoing failure. Their empire, a $500 million contract, has evaporated because of their own negligence and their son's ignorance. Blake's phone pings with a news alert. Orion Dynamics revokes Harrington Global contract after gala incident. He swallows hard. The world knows, everyone sees, and the Harringtons are powerless to stop it. But Elaine's victory isn't just about punishment. She doesn't gloat. She doesn't smear them publicly beyond what the truth demands. Her power is moral, strategic, and transformative. A loyal ally, Marcus, steps into the room behind her. He's the one who helped her gather evidence of Harrington Global's compliance issues and financial vulnerabilities. Together, they had meticulously crafted the plan that ensured justice was served, while protecting her own integrity. Marcus smiles, handing her a folder. All legal filings are finalized. The Harringtons won't be able to recover, but we've also made sure Orion's image is untarnished. Elaine nods, gratitude flashing across her face. She feels the weight of years of preparation finally lift. Across town, the Harringtons sit silently. Blake finally speaks, voice trembling. I didn't realize I messed everything up." Richard shakes his head, bitter. "You still don't get it. It's not just the money, it's respect, reputation, legacy." Margaret, usually the composed matriarch, buries her face in her hands. Maybe we need to rethink everything." Their empire is fractured, their arrogance stripped bare. And in this moment of raw vulnerability, a glimmer of growth appears. Perhaps, eventually, they'll learn what Elaine already knows. Power means nothing without responsibility. Meanwhile, Elaine turns her attention to the future. Orion Dynamics will continue to expand, but with a new emphasis on mentoring underrepresented young leaders, funding scholarships, and empowering communities. She knows what it's like to fight for recognition, to be underestimated because of gender or skin color. Now, she has the platform to ensure others don't have to fight alone. She clicks through emails from young innovators, investors, and activists who want to collaborate. Her smile broadens. She's no longer just defending herself, she's shaping the future. In a quiet moment, Elaine gazes at the city below. The same city where the gala disaster unfolded. The same city where the Harringtons once believed they could manipulate and dominate. Now, she sees it differently. She whispers to herself, a mantra of resilience and purpose: truth, justice, Power with responsibility. Her phone buzzes again. This time it's a social media alert. Videos of the gala are everywhere. Comments pour in from millions around the world. Outrage, shock, admiration. But most importantly, they celebrate justice. Elaine takes a deep breath and records a short video for her followers. Thank you for taking this incredible journey with me. Remember, no one can take away your integrity, your voice, or your power when you stand for what's right. Hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what part of this story moved you most. She posts it. The engagement explodes. Her story inspires thousands, ignites discussions, and encourages a wave of support for ethical leadership in business. And then a final callback. Elaine looks at her stained gala gown, now hanging carefully in her wardrobe. It's a reminder of the moment when it all changed. That night of humiliation became the turning point, the catalyst for justice, courage, and transformation. She smiles softly. Blake Harrington may have ruined a $500 million deal, but he also inadvertently taught the world a lesson about arrogance, entitlement, and the cost of disrespect. The Harringtons' empire is shaken, but Elaine's legacy, solidified. Her inner strength, courage, and moral compass have guided her from victim to victor. The final scene closes with Elaine walking through her office, sunlight spilling across the skyline. She stops, looking out the window, and whispers, "No one underestimates me anymore. And those who do, well, they learn the hard way." The camera pans out, her silhouette framed by the city skyline. Justice has been served, growth has been achieved, and the world, millions of viewers now captivated, watches as an underestimated woman shows what true power looks like: ethical, relentless, transformative. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey. Hit that subscribe button and comment below which part of Elaine's story inspired you the most. Share this with someone who needs a reminder that courage, integrity, and resilience always pay off.